Dave Palumbo here with an RX Muscle news update, and joining me today is my compatriot in crime, John Romano. John, the Liver King has admitted that he lied and that he used anabolic steroids and growth hormone and peptides, and he was brilliant in his little admission video. It was the smartest thing anyone has done. I tell people all the time, the best way to neutralize everything that's going on out there in the world against you is to admit it and ask for forgiveness, because we love to forgive, right, our heroes?
Well, I said that about Bill Clinton with the Monica Lewinsky thing.
Yep.
Instead of standing in front of the TV with that crooked finger saying, "I did not have sex with that," if he had just said, I'm 40-something years old. I suddenly find myself the leader of the free world,
right?
And I got this girl walking by, flashing me her ass, and I'm like, I'm the fucking president. I can do whatever I want, Yeah,
right.
let me. Okay.
My wife's a lesbian, and
right. I can't even find it on my wife, So yeah, sorry, I had a weak moment. I caved in. I got a blowjob in the Oval Office. Any of you would have done the same thing, And he would have walked out of there like a sheik. But instead, lie. And with the Liver King, it reminds me of this situation when I was in high school. There was one of the guys in our group was gay. Right? We all knew he was gay. We knew he was gay when he was 13. I mean, he was gay. He was always gay. We didn't care. He was our friend,
Right.
So senior year in high school, he invites us all to this thing at his house, and he puts this whole big party on and caters, food and drinks and after the whole thing, he stands up stands up and bangs his glass with the spoon, gets everybody's attention, and he makes this big announcement. He's coming out of, he's gathered us all together to come out of the closet because he wants us all to know he's gay. And we're looking at him like,
who cares?
You know that. So what's the big news? So at Liver King, it's like, you're not telling us anything we don't know. I mean, thankfully you're not denying it anymore, and you're admitting it, which is the best ththing you could possibly do. Look, he has been genius through the whole thing, start to finish. Okay, so my hat's off to the guy. You're not supposed to lie, but in this day and age, the president lies to you every single freaking day.
Well, he even said, I was insecure with myself, and even though yes, I had a lot of money already, I was a very private person. No one knew who I was. I was kind of making it behind the scenes, and then I created this public persona, and I didn't know how to handle all the people attention that they were giving to me, because I was such a behind the scenes type of guy. And he really never used anabolics. And I even said that in my video I did the other day. I said, this guy, from what I've read on these emails, really wasn't doing anabolics, regularly. He just started doing it. So he didn't even know what he was doing. He was just making all the mistakes a rich person who can afford to take anything would make. He went to a rejuvenation clinic and said, I have a lot of money. What should I do? And they're like, oh, here you go.
Oh, a lot of money? Yeah.
Well, you should do the growth hormone, because we make the most money off of that.
Right. Here's $12,000 a month worth of GH. The other thing that I think befell him was, we don't know what's going to be the hit online. We don't know what the next viral thing is going to be. If we could crack that code, we'd all be filthy freaking rich right now. The problem with him is that it's like when you start a fire outside, okay? You start a fire and, it's burning okay and it's good. And, you put a little wood on it and you got a nice, but, the wind can kick up. You get a little dry stuff in the way. The next thing you know, the whole forest is on fire, right? And you can't stop it. It's unstoppable. And that's exactly what I think happened to him. He started a little bit on the down low, made a few videos. Next thing you know, he's got millions of followers, and this thing blew up in his. He's only been around, what, a year?
Maybe a year and a half.
Maybe a year and a half. So that is explosive growth. You can't, even if he realized 6 months ago, 8 months ago, a year ago, what this was going to blow up into, the match was lit. It's too late.
The great thing is that when you don't need money, John, because he had a lot of money, he was making money already. You always are successful because he just did it for the love of the whole thing. You know what I mean? But he was so insecure that he didn't want to project a persona that he was trying to do, which is that caveman look, right? I mean, that's really what he's projecting. Sure. He didn't look it in his mind. He had to create this physique that was equivalent to what he was promoting in his whatever 8 tenets of whatever he comes up with. What I don't know. He's got a whole line of rhetoric he does, but he wanted his physique to match what he was saying, and so he was training like a lunatic. He probably still is. He was training like twice a day, every single day. And on his off day, once a week, he walks 12 miles. I mean, which is not really an off day, right? So he's very insecure by his own admission. So I think he felt like people would think of him as a fraud. But you know what? What he basically said, look, I went to the hormone replacement clinic. These are what the doctors suggested for me. I didn't go do this myself, and I'm just following their protocol, which I believe, I'm sure he probably said, give me the maximum protocol you guys have. But he really didn't. It wasn't like he was a bodybuilder previously and he said, all right, I got to take all this shit. But he didn't even know what he was doing. They were probably giving him stuff. I mean, they were giving him tons of GH, and then they were giving him growth hormone releasing peptides. Like what could those things possibly have done with the fact that he was taking 10 IUs of GH a day already? I mean, did he really need to release any more from his pituitary?
I'll tell you exactly what they did. They increased the profit they made off.
Yeah, of course. So
yeah, the thing, I have a issue with guys who we're all insecure. I mean, if you're a bodybuilder, if you're any degree of bodybuilding at all, you have some degree of insecurity. That's why you're bodybuilding. I mean, it's part of the deal. Okay, so to kind of play off his insecurity on other people's insecurity and telling them, look, you eat this mound of raw liver and bull testicles, you're going to look like me. I think that's where he's kind of like, giving the baby candy, as it were. You're kind of fueling the flame by doing that, the insecurity flame, because what insecure kid looking at a big bodybuilder and muscles and all that goes along with it doesn't want that. Think back to when you were a kid and you first discovered what muscles were, when you were 10, 11, 12 years old. You wanted those. When you realized what it took to get them, the first things that comes to your mind is, wait, there's got to be an easier way to do that. Where's the pill? I mean, there's got to be a shortcut.
Right.
But as we will know, there isn't. But if you can play into that insecurity and suggest there is a shortcut or an alternative or an adjunct to what you're doing that's going to give you better gains, you're shooting fish in a barrel at that point.
What his mistake was is he should never have gone on like podcasts and started answering questions. He should have just kept doing his Instagram stuff where he can put it up and just not respond to anyone. Let them say whatever they want. No response. Keep putting it up. Look great. I've never watched an Instagram post of his that wasn't completely entertaining. I mean, the creativity is unbelievable. And you would, a lot of these things are like 20-second clips, but they don't take 20 seconds to shoot. It's probably a couple hours to shoot the 20 seconds that they put up there.
There's one of them throwing a spear. Did you see that one?
Yes, I love that one.
When I saw, actually Max showed it to me. When I saw it, he's like leaning back, with the spear, and he's like, all of this is like shredded veins and his inner muscles and everything, and that's like right there. I'm like, yeah, right.
How many takes do you think he did of that before they got the right one?
He could have done it on one take. He could have done it on 100.
I guarantee he probably filmed it 600 times because he's a perfectionist, and doing stuff like that. So he wants everything to be perfect. And if you look at these clips, I mean, they're all perfectly done. I mean, you could tell very professional.
Look, this guy, love him or hate him, right or wrong, he did it first class. He did it the best way you could possibly do it. And he was successful at it. And look, you cannot knock a guy's success unless you really hurt somebody, which I don't think he did.
No.
But,
this is not Mr. G. Is Mr. G not missing the mark here? This guy I think he copied Mr. G, because if you see some of the crazy shit he does, it's right up Mr. G's alley.
Yeah.
It's just Mr. G doesn't know how to market. He needs someone who's going to tell him what to do. Mr. G doesn't like to take
No,
instructions.
because Mr. G looks at this and sees the guy carrying 2 kettlebells underwater. Mr. G wants it with the Titanic in the background, hammerhead sharks swimming over his head. He's got to be eating some, fish jerky with his foot, and he can't just leave it alone and do one thing. He's got to
and he wants to film it himself with an iPhone,
yes. While he's riding, and then he's going to come out of the water and ride a wave, and then. The problem with Georgie is just he can't focus on one thing. Well, the other day, what were we doing? He was talking about making, what was the next SKU he came out with, his 897th SKU?
Yeah. Oh, the bread?
The bread. Okay. No, you can't buy this. It's not so Georgie, I know the cook. Remember, I told him the cookie. Just make the cookie.
Yes, that's all we want is the cookie.
And right? we still don't have any damn cookies.
No. He's got some new thing he's coming up with. He's got a new business partner.
You can't get a freaking cookie from him right now.
No, but I'm saying this is right up his alley. If the problem is all he needs to be is the talent. He should just be doing and doing nothing, none of the business aspect of it. Just be the crazy guy with the beard who looks like a caveman.
Right. Well, I agree.
The Liver King proved it. And you know what? The fact that the Liver King said that he was used to being anonymous and behind the scenes, which is why there was no controversy, because there was no interaction. And You know what? This will segue into our next story that Aaron Singerman was released from prison after 10 months into a 5-year sentence. Yeah. So I mean, those guys, Aaron and PJ, never probably would have gone to jail had they not been showboating, everything they were doing. And I think that's what got them, noticed, so to speak, and put them on everyone's radar. And if you want to be acknowledged from social media nowadays, you better be on the up and up, because it's like you're giving them the case that they need against you if you're doing something wrong,
Exactly. And I think the other problem with that is that it never goes away.
No.
So if 50 years from now, Liver King's son wants to, get involved with something, along these lines, he's going to bear the cross his father, built 50 years ago. It's never going to go away.
Even if he renames himself the Gallbladder King or something like that, he'll still be connected to that, right?
Yeah, and it'll never go ever go away. I tell especially the girls, that I work with, and they want to, they say, well, this guy's going to support me if I do these videos, and I'll get a sponsorship. Right. And I said, don't do it. Do not do it. It will follow you for, these girls are in their 20s right now. Let's say they go hypothetically, get a law degree and then want to be a judge or a politician or something. They're going to go dig that shit up, and you're going to never live it down.
Yep. It's like the elementary school teacher who posed nude for some picture once in her life, and then all of a sudden the school district finds the picture, or one of the kids, God forbid, prints the picture out and brings it to school and shows everyone,
I had a client who posed for Maxim a long time ago. Maxim is not nude, but I mean, it was suggestive, and this girl later became a doctor, and then she was on, getting on the board of this hospital, and an oncology hospital. They did some kind of background check on her. They found this article in Maxim, and they denied her position.
Which really they're going to say that's not the reason, but the truth is that you should be able to sue for that, because I mean, it shouldn't really count against you.
They count it as a moral turpitude. There's a moral turpitude clause in the contract, and if you have any violation of moral turpitude, look, there's some we have a very liberal way of thinking, in our world. We accept almost everything. Yeah. So when you have, except for child molesters, we pretty much accept everything, So, other areas are not as free as we are, and they're very strict and they're very conservative. And if you have any kind of, stuff in your background that's not in keeping with their codes of conduct and morality, you're screwed.
Yep. Well, we come from a puritanical, background, right? The Pilgrims, came over here, and they were very, they, as my father would say, they had a pole up their ass, type of thing, very, very rigid in the way they would think about things, Thank God for the Indians; they smoothed them out a little bit.
They mediated that.
Right. And then wasn't like Rhode Island like a penal colony originally too? They put all the bad people in Rhode Island.
Yeah, I think that's true.
I think they had a penal. I think they did, unless I'm making it up. I don't know if I am.
Well, that was Australia for sure.
No, I know Australia. But I think that they had some kind of
it was either Rhode Island or another. I vaguely remember that.
Nowadays it's Staten Island, but but back then it might.
No, it's Rikers Island now.
Yeah, that's true. So what's your take on the whole Aaron Singerman release from prison that early? I mean, obviously a lot of people are asking me what I think, and look, the only thing, you have to do something for the government to let you out of a 48-month or 54-month prison sentence. Now, originally while he was in prison, they reduced him to 36 months. We don't know how, and then all of a sudden he gets released after 10 months. So what's going on? And if you had to speculate.
Well, and not only have I speculated, but I've also talked to a couple of different lawyers about it. And look, this is kind of hard to discuss because we know Aaron. I like Aaron.
I'm happy he's out for himself, because
of course. For him, his kids especially. I'm glad, there's nothing better than for him to, get out. But the federal government does not cut a 5-year sentence without you doing something for them. And what is he going to do for them? He's not going to bake them cookies like Mr. G would. He's going to give up people. So work with them, be a confidential informant. He's going to, you cannot get a 5-year prison sentence cut off, not reduced, cut out. Done. You cannot do that without working for the feds. So is he going to set people up? Does he already have information on people that they want? There's one specific person in our industry that we know of that Aaron probably has a lot of information on that they would like to know. Is he agreed to that? He's agreed to something. What that is, we don't know. The thing's sealed, and especially that's another big clue. When all that information is sealed, it's sealed for a reason. It's sealed because it protects their informant. So, that's what he's doing. And, it's not because he's a good guy. It's not because he belongs to the right synagogue. It's not any of that shit. It's because he's doing something for them. It's quid pro quo. We cut 5 years off your sentence. You give us somebody else to give those 5 years to, or 10 or 20. And that's the other thing. The feds only fish upstream. They don't care what, as Valentino would say, Joey Matarazzi is doing on Staten Island. They don't give a fuck. They want to know who's bigger than him, who's selling more drugs or making more of the wrong shit. So the industry now has a pariah that they're going to have to contend with. And I think it's the dumbest thing in the world because this industry is tighter than any other industry on earth. Everybody knows everybody, and we all know what each other's doing. And if you have any doubt what you're doing, just go on Instagram or TikTok or Facebook, and it's all there. So everybody knows everybody, and they all know what they're doing. I can't imagine Aaron being able now to get involved with a supplement company, a drug dealer, or whatever, and kind of work on a setup deal without them knowing that this guy's working for the feds. Everybody knows it.
Right.
And if it's not true, let's say it's not true. Let's say he got a pardon from the governor or some shit, Well,
that would be a different story. Then people would understand that he doesn't have to worry about anything. There's nothing to worry about.
Well, how'd you get the pardon?
Well, I mean, you could pay people off for pardons. You don't think that happens? We see billionaires getting pardoned all the time.
Absolutely. So I mean,
I would rather of him have done that, John, because who cares? I want to see him out of prison. I want him to be father to his kids. I mean,
absolutely.
I told him when he first went in, when I was talking to him, I said, you do whatever you got to do, because your kids need you,
Yes.
Yes. When I went to prison and you went to prison, we didn't have a family, so it was a lot easier to say, fuck it, I'm just going to do my time. I'm not going to say a fucking word, you know, because I'm not a rat. But you know what? It's different when you have kids, young kids.
It is very, very different. But it's also the stigma, you know, everybody's a gangster until they get caught. You know,
Yep.
Oh, I'm never a rat. They'll have to put, you know, do this in time, pull my fingernails out, and I'll never be a rat.
Look at Sammy the Bull.
They throw 100 years in front of you. You start singing like a canary. They all do. Okay. Yeah. The only one that didn't was John Gotti. He's the only one who didn't.
Well, he was a man. Yeah. He went to prison, even his son was upset that his son wanted to quit the business, so to speak. You know, He thought that was a cop out, you know.
Right. Sammy the Bull freaking turned into a rat. I mean, he's the hardest gangster. He murdered 150 people, you know. Yep. So, you know, you just don't know. We don't know what the deal is, and you can never predict how somebody is going to react to this kind of life-changing, you know, situation they find themselves in. There's really only a couple of possibilities that could have gotten rid of that 5 years: a cooperation deal, which is the most likely, or a pardon, which is possible.
We know it's not. We know it's not a pardon because we would have heard about a pardon. Who would have pardoned him? The governor or the president? You know, there's no one else.
Either the governor. In this case, it would have had to have been either the president or Congress, because it's federal. So it would have to be. You know,
we know he wasn't. We know he wasn't pardoned. That wasn't. Joe Biden didn't pardon Aaron. You know,
because it's a federal case.
Yeah.
So short of that, the only other possibility is that he's working for them.
Yeah. It's a tough situation because you have to put yourself in that situation and say, okay, I got 48 months or 54 months to do. Probably I'm going to wind up doing. 48 of those months, which is 4 years of my life. You know, I got young kids. You know, should I try to do something to get out of it? I don't know. It boils down to what your character is at that moment and how important it is. You know, a lot of people have been asking me about Aaron's marriage, and you know what? I really don't want to comment on it because I don't know, and it's none of my fucking business, and it's none of your businesses out there either. That's between Aaron and his wife. You know, so. Right. That's
there are certain facts about that are, public. So you guys know exactly what we know, and there's no point in, digging into that because it's irrelevant and it's personal.
Yeah.
So you leave that out. But the what he did to get his this time cut off is going to be a matter of conjecture. I mean, it's kind of funny. It's like the Liver King, It's like, of course we know you did steroids, and it's like, of course we know you ratted somebody out. I mean, it's so obvious,
Right.
So it's kind of funny. We're talking about these two people in the same show in the same situation. It's like it's undeniable. It's just absolutely undeniable.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the pyramids in Egypt. You can't cut granite with a copper chisel. You can't do it. So these are the things that in life that come to us that you have to you got to okay, that's the way. And a lot of times, you got to put yourself in that position. You got 3 young boys. You may or may not have marital issues. You've got a contentious, at the best, a contentious relationship with their mom. And you want to do the best thing you can by the kids. And if you have that contentious relationship and you're locked up, all you're thinking about is those kids.
Right.
Like, who are they with? What are they doing? Who's influencing them? Is she bad-mouthing me? And that'd drive you freaking nuts. And in Aaron's case, because we know him, and we know about the availability of certain things in prison that you're not supposed to have, and we know his personality type and what his proclivities are, it would have been very possible, and we've talked about this, it would have been very possible for him to put himself in that drug program and then end up the mouse on the wheel. He'd never get out because he'd get frustrated, he'd get angry, he'd get excited, somebody give him pruno, heroin, marijuana, whatever is all available in prison. And he gets caught doing that, then the drug thing resets, he's back to zero. Next thing you know, 4 or 5 of those, yet 4 years is gone of your life,
Right.
So, look, whatever he did, it's because he's got those kids, and I would you cannot hold that against them. I don't care how subscribed to the bro code you are or how hard Mac you think you are. You got 3 young kids who need you. You have an opportunity to be with them or not be with them. You're going to be with them, and it probably doesn't matter what you do.
I'm surprised they even gave him that offer. So, I mean, so he obviously must have been able to help them with something. Hopefully it's nothing related to our bodybuilding industry. Not that I want to see anyone go to jail, but, I just hope I hope, it has nothing to do.
What else could it be? Counterfeit watches? I mean, what else is it going to be? I mean, this is the business he's in. These are the connections that he has. This is what he does. And like I said before, I'm baffled by the fact that the feds would look. Reducing your sentence is one thing. Eliminating it altogether is a whole other story.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay? So you got to be doing something monumental for them to just let you out completely. So either he had something on somebody they wanted really bad, or he's able to do something to someone that they want really bad. And the only time will tell what that is.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm glad that he gets to see his children, and 10 months. It sounds like, he only did 10 months. That's a long time to not be around your kids. I get news to you. If I'm not around them for the weekend, I miss my kids. So,
I had a situation early in my divorce where I didn't see Max for 4 months. Yeah. And that was, and it was 4 months when he was very young. And when I remember when he first saw me, he didn't know who I was.
Oh my God.
There is no worse feeling in the entire world than your own son not knowing who you are. Right. So and there's also no greater feeling of elation when he remembers. So you got that coming. But boy, young children, especially boys, they need their dad, and for their sake, for Aaron's sake too. I'm glad that he's out. I'm glad he doesn't have to do 5 years. I just hope that, whatever he's got to do to pay for that release does not put himself in danger, because
his life in danger.
You let out the wrong guy. That's
imagine if he lived in Mexico, that would be way more dangerous.
They wouldn't even wait. They'd shoot him the day he came home.
They're like that.
Fuck. They know. I mean, come on. You got to be an idiot not to know. Okay. How do you get rid of a 5-year sentence? I'm going to take somebody down. So boom, you get a bullet in the head. So that's what they get. They don't even wait. They don't wait 5 minutes. The second the door opens, boom, they're dead. Right. So.
Would you advise him, if you were advising him? I'm sure he's listening to this because he listens to everything. But would you advise him to lay low and maybe not be the social media Aaron that he was before, and just kind of let this die down a little? Or would you recommend that he goes? I'm sure Aaron's going to go right back into doing what he does, social media wise, because that's what he gets. That's his. That he really enjoys that, and that's his thing. What would you recommend?
If I were Aaron, I would find the smallest town in Idaho, dye my hair black, grow a beard, buy a farm, and never leave.
Well, from what you're telling me, that's not possible, because unless he did whatever he had to do already.
We don't know. See, that's the thing. We don't.
I just think he should. I think he should go and back to running his company and just lay low. At this point, there's no reason to put yourself out there. Like, here I am, I'm back. Because you didn't really do your time and come back. You got out by a method that we're not really sure how you got out. Maybe you should just kind of be behind the scenes for a little while. That might be a better strategy.
I agree. I'm 100%. And the other thing is, bodybuilding is full of criminals and ex-cons. Right. So probably more than any other sport on the face of the earth, we got more. First of all, everybody who's competing is a criminal. Everybody, because you're buying
by definition,
they're all breaking the law.
By definition, yeah.
So everybody's got some streak of that, lawless attitude, and you think like a criminal, and you understand what criminals think, and it's a criminal mindset. Right. The criminal mindset on the very, very, very basic level is rats are no good. So if you get out of a 5-year prison sentence, regardless of why, because there is that criminal mindset prevalent in our industry. The knee-jerk reaction, you read me an email just before, the knee-jerk reaction to anybody in our business, anyone, is going to be, he's a rat.
Right.
So, you know, that's the payoff, the trade-off, you know.
Should Aaron go to the Olympia or not?
Fuck no.
I would say no, but will he go? Absolutely. You know he will.
He's going to put another billboard up on the freaking hotel. Look, you got to admire his.
He got out. He did get out, John. I don't know how he did it, but he got out. Yeah.
You know, you got to admire that. You got to give it to him. He got out. Like we keep saying, especially for the kids' sake, he got out. But what he's going to do now that he's out, that's the game he's got to play smart.
A little scary, yeah.
It's a little scary because for the feds to give up, like I said, for the feds to give up a 5-year stretch on you, you got to give them something big, and it's got to be upstream. It's got to be somebody bigger than you. So whoever that may be connected enough to shut Aaron off. I would be very, very careful if I were him. I wouldn't make any noise. I would be quiet. I would sneak home, shut the door, run my company, not make any noise, not make any videos, posts, nothing. Be quiet. Let this whole thing go down the road. And, 5 years from now, he can come out and talk about it, do interviews or whatever. But right now,
he can do it. 5 months from now would be better, but he won't make it 5 minutes because that's just not his personality. It's like
if he goes to the Olympia, he's out of his mind. Out of his mind.
Yeah, I would put my money on the fact that he's going to the Olympia.
I would if he called me up and it said, John, give me your opinion. What should I do? I would say exactly what I told you. Yeah, smallest town in Idaho. Go. That's where you got to go.
No, you just said it before. He should stay home, do his thing, go into the office. He loves Redcon, do his business. He's doing a legitimate business. He's a great marketing guy, and just stay behind the scenes and don't make any noise. That's
well, but I think in his brand of genius, I think he's probably figuring out how to parlay this into more views, hits, eyeballs, money.
It's not going to be good hits. It's not going to be positive hits. There's nothing positive that can come of this, only because of the fact of how he got out.
Right. And we're going to hammer this point home because I don't want anybody supposing that I know anything or that I'm offending Aaron in any way. All I'm saying is that for the feds to cut off a 5-year sentence, they don't do that just because they like you. They do that because you're giving them something.
PJ Braun's still in prison doing his full time. So that answers your question right there, right?
Right there. Why not? Why Aaron and why not PJ? Same case.
Yep.
Same exact case.
Well, Liver King, thank you so much for doing that video. I watched the whole thing, and I very rarely watch videos to the end. And I got to say, brilliant. Brilliant.
It was human. It was human.
Honest. It was honest. It was refreshingly honest. Yes.
It was
honest. Like, I fucked up. He even said it. He's like, I fucked up.
Yeah.
I loved it.
I love it. I mean, he's for all all the kooks we have running around here. I'm telling you, this guy.
He's like, I fucked up. He didn't have to do that. He's got tons of money. He didn't have to do it. He said, I fucked up,
He could have found the smallest town in Idaho,
Yeah. And no one would have said a word because he didn't do anything illegal, Nope. He just lied. That's all.
Right.
All right. Well, we're going to wrap this up. John, I love talking to you, and I love discussing controversial topics with you, of course.
Same here.
Best wishes to Aaron. Enjoy your kids because I'm sure they missed you. Dave Palumbo with John Romano for another installment of RX Muscle News Update.